The greatest barrier between you and your partner and the connection that you crave is not communication, not gender, not even your differences. It is an illusion that is so pervasive that most couples never even realize it's there, getting in between them every step of the way. That illusion is the illusion of individualism, the illusion of our separateness, and it plays out constantly in our relationship dynamics. And that shit has got to change if we want to have the relationships that we desire. And that's what we're getting into today. So, welcome back to another Catalyst Conversation for a Relationship Revolution, where we challenge the unquestioned assumptions about love, flip the script on what you've been taught, and reveal the truths that no one has told you. If it feel it, so, I want to take a pause here and just name that I sound funny. I lost my voice yesterday. Today, I at least have some of it back, but it sounds funny, at least to me. So it may be a little squeaky, um, and it's better than not having a voice at all. So let's get into this. I want to talk about individualism, which is it goes hand in hand with patriarchy, which we talked about last week in our catalyst conversation. If you did not catch that conversation, I highly recommend that you listen because that was one of the most powerful conversations that I think we've had here in the catalyst conversation um, uh, programs. And if you want easy access, just comment patriarchy in the comments, and I will get you access. At least within the next week or two of broadcasting this live. Historically, if you do that like in a year or two from now, I may not see the notification. But that said, um, watch this. Individualism is very closely connected, and as we go into this conversation, you'll start to understand why. Like patriarchy, this idea of separateness, that we are individual people, is everywhere. It's in the air we breathe, right? We're saturated in it. It's part of our programming. None of us can really escape it, even if we know it cognitively. Um, as I very well do. For a long time, my email signature was Thich Nhat Hanh's quote: "We are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness." And yet, as much as I knew that that was true, I didn't understand what that meant in application, in practice, especially not in my relationships, nor how my sense of being an individual, of being a separate person, was affecting the struggles we were having, was making it difficult for change, for connection, for intimacy to occur. So individualism, this is really important because it it shows up largely in this idea of I need to work on myself. We each need to fix our own stuff. I do me, you do you. And it's better, healthier, more um, uh, valuable, more applauded, I suppose, because my brain doesn't want to think of a better word, to be independent and not need to rely on anyone. And and while self-responsibility is vital, if you pay attention to the work that we do in Powerful Love, like, the foundation of it is what we call empowered accountability or relational leadership. It's very much anchored in self-responsibility, right? Like owning your shit. Um, but we cannot do owning your shit without, like, identifying and awakening from this illusion of individuality, because part of Empowered accountabilities like success rests in the recognition that we are not separate. We are relational beings. We are shaped, sustained, healed, known to ourselves through connection, through relationships, right? Like our relationships help us to know who we even are. So when in this individuality, we cut ourselves off from the source of our beingness, and in truth, we shoot ourselves in the foot, because what affect like, what is going on with those around us, especially those in our innermost circle, our partners, affects us, right? We are part of a system. I think that, one of the some conversation I've had, I talked about the way that, like, we are a system, an ecosystem, you and your partner, and it's like, in the ecosystem, you both rely on the ecosystem to live, just like we all rely on our planet to live. and and this myth of individualism, and I may be getting ahead of myself, but this myth of individualism is part of why, like, we have destroyed our planet, because it's like, well, I'm just going to take care of me. I'm just like, I need to take care of me and mine, me and my family. You all need to worry about yourself, so I'm gonna do what I need to do to be okay, and to the detriment of other people, to the detriment of our planet, and then to the detriment of our future generations, to the detriment even of ourselves and our own health and well-being, because we're destroying our ecosystem. It's like we poison the water with our anger or resentment. Um, in the relationship, we poison the water with our distance, with our defensiveness. But we drink the fucking water. E Like, that's ecosystem, friend, right? You are living w with the consequences of what you do or do not do that impacts your partner. So it's not just about, like, "Well, that's your shit, this is my shit." It's like, "Well, your shit affects their shit, and their shit affects your shit, so actually it's kind of all y'all shit because it's in the ecosystem." That's relationality, right? That is what's called ecological wisdom, and that's what nobody ever talks about. I actually just learned that concept. I come from, um, my studies as a master's and PhD in family therapy. I my all my educational background is in systemic thinking, so I have been trained as a systems thinker, which in and of itself is revolutionary, right? Because most people are, individualistic thinkers. They kind of think about, as mental health professionals, they think about the individual, how the individual is affected, what the individual needs to do, what the individual's mental health is, blah, 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 right? Systemic thinkers, we think about the impact of the system on the individual and the individual on the system and the relationship between blah. Okay, so great. But I still had never heard of ecological wisdom. I still, this is like, w- as a trained couple of family therapists, nobody freaking talked to me about this idea that, um, each person owning their shit without recognizing that the process of owning their shit includes taking care of their ecosystem, which is their partner's stuff, is part of how they get what they want. I'll get into more of that later. I'm, like, so ahead of myself because, this is a really, like, important topic, and I do that sometimes. And as you could tell, I'm, not as, like, prepared in my notes as usual because I've been sick. That's okay, because you just get a little bit more, raw me, a less organized me, and I think that's fun sometimes. So, speaking of me, for those of you who are new to these conversations, my name is Dr. Jenny Wallig. I am an award-winning relationship expert. This has been my passion. This is my jam to talk about these things. I'm a mentor. I am a speaker. I am an author. I am an educator. And alongside my partner and soulmate, Calvin, I am co founder of Powerful Love Relationships. I call myself the relationship rebel with a PhD because I also take a lot of pride in being an unruly disruptor. In insofar as with a lot of love and compassion, I recognize that our world needs to do better at where relationships are concerned, and I want to be a part of disrupting what doesn't work and supporting people in learning a new, more evolved and conscious way of doing relationships because our world needs more love, right? And I don't think that anything affects our lives or benefits our lives and our well-being more than our relationships. Knowing how to lead them skillfully and powerfully with consciousness, with relationality, um, is not only life-changing, the ripple effects are going to truly transform our world, and, honestly, now more than ever, I think we need that. So, this really is revolutionary, conversations and a revolutionary practice to be learning these things and trying to implement them into our relationship, um, and it's just hearing about and it turned my oh, my internet already is off on my phone. Well, I apologize, y'all, if this is a choppy and not so great stream. Go figure, right? Um, anyhow, I did my best. And we gotta get an internet person here because it's just like not gonna do for our business. Um, So, the relationship revolution, we're taking these ideas, we're applying them, we're implementing them, we are using them to transform our relationships. And if you're in that group, not only get the like practice activation opportunities and like support and feedback as you're implementing them from me, and connection with community of other people who are committed to doing this work and creating something better for themselves and for the world. But you also get to, little behind the scenes videos, reflections of how I am practicing this and learning this in my relationship with Calvin, because, I'm in this work too, and there's nothing that I am talking about or, teaching that I am not also practicing, and a lot of what I'm talking about and teaching uh, is cutting edge for me, right? Like I sometimes I go back to kinda basics, but honestly, that's a bit more boring for me to talk about these days. What I wanna talk about is the stuff that's really pushing me to continue to grow and level up because I think that's where we need to be. And so, if you know that you wanna be there too, moving the edge of, like, pushing the edge of your relationship higher and better, then the Relationship Revolution membership group is the place for you. And, so, yeah, if the link is in the description, and I will share a little bit more about it again at the end. But I just wanna plant that little seed now. Um the other thing I'll just say in this intro, again, I'm going a little off script today because why the hell not? Um, it's just that, in all of this work, one of our, let me say it this way. I think our foundational belief, our most core belief is that it only takes one person to start the change of a relationship. right? It takes 2 to tango, yes, but it only takes 1 person to learn the steps and lead the dance, and that's the idea of relational leadership. So even if you don't have a spouse or a partner who is interested in or ready to do the work with you to learn how to change your relationship with you, if you know you want a better relationship, if you know you deserve better, if you know that how important relationships are and that having a good, like, no, better, fuck good. Like if you if you know that having an amazing, lasting, life-changing relationship is what you desire for your life, then you become the person who knows how to have that. And as long as your partner's dancing with you, your leadership of that dance will and must change their steps, or they stop dancing with you, and you find someone who will, which is never any of our desires, but, like, also that's the best way to change because just trying to get somebody to change by telling them that they need to learn new steps doesn't work. And that brings me back into this conversation of individualism. Excuse me. So I should have brought more cough drops in here. I don't. No, I don't have any. Okay, so what so often happens in our relationships, and I want to say this too for women in particular because um although this isn't always the case, what I have found and just the way that society and patriarchy um sets us up is that we women tend to do a majority of the emotional labor because it is both expected of us and it is okay for us to do. And so in our relationships, it is typically women who lead the charge in wanting relationships to change and get better. Typically women who are aware of what's not working and are presenting issues to their husbands, wives, or spouses. It is typically the women who are complaining about things not being as good as they could be. The women who are aware of how they feel and want their feelings to be heard and felt, and they want real intimacy and connection. And so, um, which is why we get called needy and why, we think of ourselves as too much and why we become the caretakers and why it's often women who are dragging their spouses or partners to therapy or relationship coaching or some kind of help because the spouse's partners on the masculine end of the spectrum, this goes back to patriarchy again, like doesn't understand why there's even a problem. And so um, I'm circling back to women because part of this dynamic is that we as like in this position get really good at doing our own work and and learning how to be independent and successful, especially as entrepreneurs. Again, a particular segment of the population that I work a lot with, powerful, high achieving women who are out here trying to make a difference in the world and live their vision, their purpose. So we have to do a lot of work on ourselves. We have to learn how to be very independent, not rely on other people so much. We have to learn how to, and a lot of times we haven't been able to, right? Um, we become very self-aware, very self-actualized, very committed to a personal growth journey, and personal growth is great. And all of those wonderful qualities that you have developed within yourself to become the successful and powerful badass woman that you are also um, possibly getting in the way of you having the connection and creating the changes that you want with your spouse because um, the personal growth idea is still also rooted in individualism. It's about like actually it has been unfair that we have had to do personal growth and not been more supported, relationally. We've not had community to support our growth and success, that we've had to be so independent and self-led. That has been a result of patriarchy and individualism coming together. And so then we in this like, well, I had to do this as an individual, and then we look at our masculine partners in this position of power and distance who hasn't done any of the work and are not meeting our needs, and it's really easy to point the fingers and say, "Hey, the dance that we're doing sucks. I don't like it. You keep stepping on my toes. I'm not having any fun. Can you please, like, you're supposed to be the leader. Can you please go learn a new dance or get better at dancing so that we can have, like, a good dance for the rest of our life?" Using this dance metaphor that I used earlier, right? You following? It's essentially like, "I did my work. I'm doing my work. You haven't. You need to go do yours." See how I'm pointing fingers? As long as we're pointing fingers, we are in me versus you, which is the illusion of individualism. Guys, friends, me versus you will always keep you in disconnection. Always, 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 always. If you are in, this is his problem or this is her problem, this is his shit, this is her shit, this is their shit, you're probably not going to get what you want. Now, maybe it is his, her, their shit. And 100%, it is his, her, their responsibility to own their shit and deal with their shit, just like your shit is yours to own. I I will stand behind that every day, any day. And while it may be their work to do, the loving thing, the relational thing, the ecologically wise thing to do is to support them in their success, is to help them um, win with you and in the relationships, is to not um, not identify them as the problem or make them have to be fully responsible for the solution. Is to partner together around the solution. Okay? Like that's the revolutionary idea here. That's the paradigm shift. How do we partner together? How do I help you become the greatest version of yourself? How do I help you become who you wanna be? How do I help, like, if you say you wanna be if you wanna love me better, I would like to be loved better. You say you would like to love me better, right? This is often where couples get, like, I complain, they say, "I wanna be better, I'll try," maybe they get to that point if they get past their defensiveness, and then the "I try" doesn't turn into any kinda change and is, like, infuriating, right? And you spin around in circles, and then you're doing the same shit for a long time, and then you lose hope. Oh gosh, it's heartbreaking. Um, it's 'cause they don't know what try means. They don't know what to do. Our men in the influence of patriarchy, they don't know what that actually looks like to be intimate, how to be vulnerable, how to connect to their feelings. So often I'm gonna tell a story. God, I'm hardly even looking at my script, so I'm gonna have to, like, go back to it and be like, "Is there anything else I wanna say?" Okay, so often in my, relationship with Calvin, we, we hit this point where I have a desire to, for him to be able to respond to my, emotional needs, with greater attunement is the word that I use, attunement. So I want him to, like, energetically shift into the care center and be able to shift his tone and use lots of nonverbals to show me he's with me and he gets it and have the right words to say to me and use the right kind of eye contact and lean forward and all this stuff that, like, comes really intuitively to me, and also, I mean, it's kind of a superpower of mine, but, um, like, He he wants to get better at doing that, but he is just like, he doesn't know what that looks like. I mean, he's experienced it from me, but, like, it's not been modeled for him. He's not it's not been given to him. He's not been taught how to do it, how to shown how to do it, and I see that in a lot of the work that we do with men in particular, like, they don't even know how to respond, like, what to say that or how to say it in a way like, what the tone even sounds like. Like, I feel like I wanna do a class for, like, how to respond to your woman's emotional complaints, and just give language and examples of tone and just practice it. So it builds, um, neural connections because it's missing. So but in your marriage, in your relationship, if you're asking your husband or your spouse to do something that they've never learned how to do, and they say they wanna do it, you can't just leave them at, "I wanna do it." Like, they have to, A, feel safe enough to practice, and B, um, like, know what it is they're practicing, and then C, like, have feedback, in a way that they feel able to receive around how they did with it. So, um that's teamwork, and yeah, it sucks. It sucks because I would love I'll admit, I would love to have a partner already. I mean, Cal is fan fucking tastic, and he knows this shit in his brain. It just when, it's one thing to, like, know it here, and it's another thing to practice it here. Um, so he knows it in his brain, and when his nervous system is activated, does it come out between us? Automatically all the time? No, I would love for it to be automatically all the time. I would love to be automatically all the time. Perfect for him too, but it doesn't happen that way. Um, so we gotta support each other in getting there, and that takes time and practice. So, um, this is part of, like the just the common everyday patterning in our relationships where individuality, this illusion is getting in our way because we are desiring for our partner to change or to grow or to do their work, but we're not asking, how can I support you in doing that? What would help? We are not creating safety for them, even in the way that we're asking sometimes, right? We're not acknowledging, like, hey, I know that you don't mean to hurt or upset me, but when this happens, I do feel hurt and upset. Right? We're not acknowledging their goodness. We just often our feedback is given in a way that makes our partners feel not makes them feel because we can't make anybody feel anyway. I'll say we give feedback in a way that is ineffective because it activates shame, it activates defensiveness, it activates resistance. And yes, shame, resistance, defensiveness, those are their parts. That's also their shit that they could deal with. But we could make it easier for them by paying attention to how we are approaching our delivery of feedback so that it's less likely that those pieces get activated, right? So, um, one other piece that I want to share, I'm just looking through my notes that I haven't mentioned yet, is another concept that I learned from Terry Real, whose work I've been studying a lot lately. Um, he has this concept called enlightened self-interest, and I just love this. Enlightened self-interest. This is like a good kind of selfishness. It's a recognition that it's okay to do things because they're going to benefit you. Not for the benefit necessarily of your partner, but for the benefit of yourself. And like, okay, actually, there's nothing wrong with that. But here we're talking about enlightened self-interest that we're doing it like this is like I am supporting my partner because I know that in so doing, it is likely going to benefit me. It's gonna help them be better for me. I'm more likely to get what I want from them if I do it this way, if I deliver it this way. If I give this to them, if I help them with this, if I support them in this, they're more likely to have the capacity, have the ability, have the awareness to give this back to me. Um, I I was having a conversation with Cal today, and this was very much playing out in not like the opposite of this, right? Like we were helping each other. He was expressing his feelings, which is hard for him and an evolution. So I celebrated, congratulated him, like "I'm so proud of you sharing your feelings. Like I really love that. Makes me feel so good. So that's creating safety and encouraging him to continue to do that. I modeled what it looked like to set my feelings aside, really create space for his. I asked, like, how can we solve this? How can we, how can we make sure both of our needs are met? He didn't know. I had some ideas. I proposed some ideas. He had some feedback. I was like, okay, well, this this is, um, I don't know. We collaborated around it, right? And we created a plan for how we want to move forward. What's going to be different? I was like, and if this happens, I said, if I forget, because I know that part of this is my shit, and I recognize that. This is something that I need to work on. But here's a thing that I see that sometimes you do that I would like you to pay attention to and get better at. But if you see me not working on this, if you see that I've forgotten this, what would help me is if you could remind me in this way. You could say, Jenny, it seems like you're doing this, and I'm feeling this way. And that will help me come into a memory of this conversation and my commitment to really showing up differently and changing this pattern between us. Um, and then it's interesting because this is where I really wanted to go. It was interesting because he said, he just kept saying K. And I was like, uh, um, part of what I was asking him for in change was like expressing more appreciation for me. My love language is words. And he said, "K." And I said, "You say K a lot in this conversation." He's like, "Well, I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm acknowledging it. I don't feel like there's anything else for me to say." It's like, "Okay." He's like, "See, you just said it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I did on purpose." And then I'm like, "Here's what you could say instead." And I shared with him, like, instead of just K, he could say something like, "Yeah, babe, I understand why you would want me to say more words because your love language is words of affirmation. And you know what? I really do appreciate you. And I'm sorry that I don't share that more often. And I really will keep that in mind. So because you deserve to hear and know how appreciated you are. And right, like so I like gave him the words. And he's like, my brain doesn't think like that. My brain didn't even think it's like, but I appreciate you giving me those words because the more that I hear them, the more that I can remember to say stuff like that. So I'm helping him build um the ability, like strengthen that muscle to give me what it is that I'm asking him for. That is that's relationality. That is real relational leadership. Like I am leading our relationship toward where I want it to go, not just asking him to do his work. Right? Does that make sense? It's like game changing. That's enlightened self-interest. I'm sharing that with him. It's extra emotional labor for me. Yeah. Do I wish I had to do it? No. Is it fair that I have to do it? No. Is patriarchy a part of why I have to do extra emotional labor? Yup. Do I want to stick a middle finger up at all that fucking shit? Yeah. do I wish do I wish I could like take my anger at the patriarchy out on Cal? Sometimes. But is it his fault? No. No. I love him, so I wanna help him become whole and heal, just as I want him to help me be a better version of me. That's love. So we partner together. That's powerful. When you can do this. right? When you could do this, both of you, like, continue to rise up, right? You like, now you're working together as us against problems instead of me versus you. Everything fucking changes when it's us against problems. It's so pay attention, just pay attention for a week and how often your brain shifts into seeing your, like, partner as the problem or your kid as the problem or someone else or something else as the problem instead of, like, you and that, um, other person that you're in relationship with as partnered together in collaboration as a system, right? With some level of shared responsibility, maybe not 50-50, maybe it's like 99-1 or, 70-30, but shared responsibility uh, to correct whatever's not working so well. We shift into me versus you all the time. We don't even see it because it feels so right and so real and so valid and justified. Because I am me and you are you, and you do need to do that work, and I do need to do that work. It is not my job to do your work for you. Duh. So why wouldn't we think that way? But that's not the bigger picture. And we gotta evolve our consciousness beyond that. Okay? We gotta stop fighting to win. We gotta start cultivating, like, mutual thriving where love becomes the ground from which all existence grows. So, okay, I'm talking a long time, even with this wacky voice thing. In the relationship revolution this week, we're going to look at how individualism is still shaping your relational habits, um, and what it's going to look like to shift into a higher level of ecological wisdom and enlightened self-interest. It's going to be great. Looking forward to it. So don't miss that. To my TRR folks, if you're not in the relationship revolution yet, again, transformation doesn't happen when we learn new things, my friends. Transformation happens when we become a new version of ourselves, when we do things differently, when we move from here to, like, embodied being and lived practice. And that's what we're practicing in the relationship revolution so that we can revolutionize our own relationships and change the game around what it means to lead relationally at home with our spouses, our kids, and in wider and wider circles because the ripple effects are tremendous. And how you lead relationally in love at home is how you lead relationally everywhere else because it changes who you are, who you be, right? And truly changes the world. So, TRR is a shortcut name, is $147 a month. It's really uh, intended to be an accessible resource for folks, less than like a therapy session. And um, and we're doing weekly activations, we're doing monthly calls, we're doing, behind the scenes and bonus content, and it's really a fabulous opportunity to keep expanding and up-leveling your relationship. And if for some reason it doesn't sit with you and you're not getting the value that you think that you wanna be getting, you could cancel anytime. Um, so, uh, my hope is that if you're here and listening, you know the value of doing this work, and you are the kind of person who's ready to put it into practice. And I will look forward to seeing you in the group. Again, the link to learn more and join is in the description of this Catalyst conversation. I will see you next time for another Catalyst conversation in the Relationship Revolution, where we move to episode 4 of Shit That Has Got to Change, this month's series. I believe I will be talking about something in the realm of how we're prioritizing, uh, like, our relationship skill sets in our lives and in our society and education and that kind of stuff. So, another really great conversation that I hope you will tune into. We are live every Friday for Catalyst Conversations, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Clearly, even when I am sick, I'm showing up because these are important conversations that we're having. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a powerful week. I love you all. Until next time, keep leading with love, my friends.